the simplicity of understanding it's like my job is to support the band and the artist and to make sure that the show runs smoothly every single time.
Welcome, everybody, to Nashville Drummers Podcast, episode 41.
We want to wish everyone a joyous holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa for those celebrating. This will be our only episode this month, and we're closing out the year in a big way as we're excited to welcome our good friend, Neal Yakopin, to the podcast. Originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Neal is most notably the touring drummer for country star Nate Smith. And this interview took, honestly, a few months to schedule. Neal has had just a jam-packed year on and off the road. Of course, just announced they got added to the Morgan Wallen tour for 2024. And for anyone that knows Neal, he is one of the most genuine and nice guys to be around. Really enjoyed this conversation and learning his journey to Nashville and how he landed the gig, as well as starting his own business.
Yeah, it was great meeting him for the first time. He's a champ and a great communicator, super easy to talk to. Like Dan said, it took us a long time to get this thing scheduled. It was like herding cats, and the cats were ourselves. And Neal, of course. But great fella, great player, fantastic conversation.
Yeah, and beyond his touring gig with Nate, Neal's also the co-founder, co-owner of TourLaunch, which is a really innovative, exciting company that he has here in Nashville, helping up-and-coming artists build their live shows, everything from hardware, playback rigs, helping to build sets in Ableton, and even to help put together bands for some of these artists. It was a pretty interesting discussion on the general state of the music industry.
For me, the most interesting part of the whole thing was talking to him about the performance coaching aspect of what he does and what his company offers. It seems to me that there are a lot of artists now who are blowing up on TikTok, and they have ability on their instrument and they have no experience playing in front of people. So it's important to have your show together when you get in front of a few hundred people.
We also began the conversation with an interesting discussion on general health and wellness practices for drummers, specifically hot saunas and cold plunge. And with that in mind, we are very excited to welcome a new sponsor of the show. We've partnered with a small business right here in Nashville that offers some really great services. And exclusively for listeners of the podcast, they've offered a special discount on those services. So stay tuned towards the beginning of the episode to find out more. Wishing everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you to everyone that has supported the podcast in 2023. If you've enjoyed any of the episodes this past year, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Nashville Drummers Podcast. And you can buy merch at our website, NashvilleDrummersPodcast.com. We have a lot more interviews coming your way, so we'll see you in 2024.
Today, we're welcoming a new sponsor to the podcast, Lowboy Custom Beaters. These guys make the absolute best sounding, best feeling, and best looking bass drum beaters in the game.
Yeah, I bought my first Lowboy in 2016. It was a red and blue with white stripes, and I was able to design it and buy it right on their website, and Lowboy has been my go-to beater ever since. This thing feels and sounds great on any gig, and they just look even better.
One thing I really love about Lowboy is that you can customize the tone of your beater in addition to the look. Go with a wood striking surface for maximum attack, leather for a warm punch, felt if you wanted a bit boomier, or lamb's wool for those felt but not heard kick drum tones. You can buy Lowboy beaters here in Nashville at Forks, Drum Supply, and Nelson Drum Shop. You can also demo all 8 beater models at Drumbox. Check them out at lowboybeaters.com. This has been a weirdly challenging, like getting all of our schedules aligned perfectly. And part of that is just like the nature of, our lives in general. And the other part of it is just the part of the year that we're sitting in. But yeah, it's just, we're finally here, all 3 of us with no commitments.
We love that. And I'm happy to be here, guys.
Dude, thanks so much.
We're so glad
this is, I feel like we have to reschedule people a lot, but that's, I guess, a good problem to have because we're all so busy.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so bad. I feel like we bounced around. It was like 6. It's like a 6-month process at this point.
Yeah, it kind of is.
We finally pinned down the day, though. It feels great. Maybe it's all supposed to happen exactly like this. We'll look at it.
It was
like
meant
that.
to be this day.
It's a special day.
As it's
Special
getting
day.
colder and colder. Rocking the beanie.
Absolutely.
Well, we're stoked to have Neal Yakopin. Is that how you say your
That's
last name?
correct. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool last name.
Yeah.
What kind-
Yugoslavian. I was about to say, we were talking about Scandinavia before. That kind of, we're like, in a weird way, brothers, you know, because we're, somewhat close to each other.
Yeah.
It's true.
But yeah,
There's probably
I don't have that primal strength that I feel like you have, you know?
yeah, but I also have this weird like Neanderthal like pain to rage response. If I
Okay.
get hurt, like, and it doesn't have to be by a person. It could just be anything. If I get like, I got my fingers smashed by a dude's guitar case.
That's when your strength
And
come out?
I have to do like this. Because the first thing I wanted to do was take his guitar case and throw it out of the window. I'm like, oh, my body just goes, that's an enemy that you need to kill. I'm like, oh, good. Goodbye. I kill your guitar case now.
All right, I'm going to be super careful about what I say then today.
It's just-
That's
No,
me.
no rage-inducing comments or
oh,
moments.
the comments do not. It's just the physical experience of pain. Just like, like okay, I can be a human being. I promise. I'm just. Anyway, what'd you have for breakfast today?
Great transition.
I feel like Dan, you on the other hand, are very, very calm. Very,
We kind of, it's like good cop, bad
it's like
cop.
yeah,
sometimes.
fire and ice a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh man.
So what did you have for breakfast today?
What did I have for breakfast? I actually am not a huge breakfast guy, but when I do, hard-boiled egg.
Ooh, just
Yeah.
one?
Yeah. See, my wife's mother, she swears by it. Like longevity, everything.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
it is a pure protein.
It is a pure protein.
So
You feel good. A little
When-
salt, little pepper.
Okay, I was
Okay.
gonna ask. Yeah, I got to get a little bit of sodium in the morning. That's
Oh, yeah?
important. Yeah.
Cool.
Are you on the electrolytes yet?
See, I'm a coffee, which I shouldn't do first thing, but as soon as I wake up, coffee. Gotta be that.
It's
Huberman
No water,
suggests waiting
too.
90 minutes.
I know, and you got to do the sunlight too. I'm the
you know,
worst.
yeah.
Pure darkness, coffee.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite.
Jeez, man.
It's like the opposite.
Trying to hurt yourself.
Yeah, it's like by 11 o'clock, I'm like, where am I? You know, I just feel weird and dark, you know?
my goal is to need a nap before noon.
Yeah.
That's my goal, dude. That's the hard one is the like getting outside and like
Yeah.
especially now that it is kind of especially in the morning unpleasantly cold.
Cold.
Like oh man, and to do it because like yeah, go out there and ground. Could do it barefoot. I'm like really?
Oh, yeah.
My little toesies on
Ain't
that
happening.
frozen grass.
I feel like of all people, you'd embrace that.
Did you just
Yeah,
say
It's almost like tapping into your.
And when I'm in my best self, when I'm fully rested, I'm like, yeah, let's go. But I've been so unrested in the last 6 months
I
that
feel
I'm just
you
like,
on that.
I feel like a big baby.
Yeah, I feel you.
Wait, I was going to say, let it be known that Big Nate, Scandinavian, referred to his toes as little toesies.
Little
My
toesies.
cute little toesies,
that
which
was
are actually
probably the most
disgusting,
adorable
by the
thing
way.
you've said on here.
Yeah. I have nasty feet. My little toes, my pinky toes, the nail doesn't do this. It grows like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's gross.
There
We'll
might
get
be
a
a drumming
video of this
advantage too,
after.
because I've seen your foot technique. I feel like it's
Oh,
superior.
you're right, yeah.
So maybe there's some weird aerodynamic thing that's happening in there. What a great way to start this podcast too,
Oh, yeah.
huh?
It always
People are gonna be
starts,
like, I'm
yeah.
turning this off right
This
now.
is,
right.
Yeah, this is trash. How did I ever listen to these guys?
Skip. We were saying how busy we all are, and
Yeah,
so you've had quite a year.
man, it's been busy.
Give the people listening who may not know who you are, who you're playing with, and kind of what you've been up to.
Yeah, so Neal Yakopin, I play for Nate Smith, so he's a country artist.
Oh, not the drummer.
Not the drummer, dude. People ask
whole
me
time I
all the
thought-
time. I have disappointed so many people this year because, like, I'll set up my drums side stage, and people come over and be like, "Dude, are you playing for Nate Smith? Also, where's his drum set at?" But like, not unfortunately, not. You know.
Yeah.
And actually, there was a little bit of beef between the two.
Really?
What?
Yeah, so if you, it's a very short time, but Nate Smith, the drummer, apparently there was a little bit of infringement with the name, and people were commenting on Nate Smith, the drummer, about the Whiskey on You song, and eventually he put up in his bio, he's like, Nate Smith, not the country
Yeah, I saw
singer.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's a good sport about it, you know. So
I
but,
didn't think it actually extended to like real life. I thought that was like
Yeah.
an internet like meme almost.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
yeah. So
Wow.
he is, Nate, the guy I play for, cannot really play the drums. He can sing. He can sing very well,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
definitely
I've
not a
heard him.
drummer.
He certainly can sing quite well.
Oh, he's got that great voice. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking what you should do is you should write your own solo record and hire Nate Smith, the drummer, to play drums for you. That would complete the circle.
Whoa, that's almost like you're playing 4D chess at this point.
Exactly.
Like that is.
You'll be the president before you even know it. Like, how did I get here? I don't even want this.
Yeah, man, but it's been a fun year. We did a lot of shows. I think we did 110 or around that. So it was busy, you know, a lot of travel, but it was super fun. We've had about a week off now, so we feel so much better. You know, just that Thanksgiving break, sleeping in my own bed, feel like a human again. Mm-hmm. It's great.
It's a good balance to come back for sure. Mm-hmm. We'll get into the backstory, of course, how you got the gig and all that. And but so you guys also got added to the Morgan Wallen 2024
next year
tour, right?
Yeah. So it's exciting.
Dude, that's great. So exciting. Yeah.
It's very exciting. Yeah. And we got a little taste of it this year because we did 2 shows. Okay. And it was just so fun. You know, the crowd, I think, is just so engaging. And, you know, from start to finish, because we are going to be 2 of 4. So it's not like we're direct support or anything like that. But I think the crowd in general was so much fun. And I think we were lucky enough to get about 80% capacity. Mm-hmm. So in a big stadium like that, it just felt so alive, you know? Yeah. It was awesome, man. It was a great experience. I'm very excited for next year.
Yeah. So I think May you guys are going to be at Nissan in Nashville.
Yeah.
That's with Bailey Zimmerman and Lauren, right?
Yeah. And I have a ton of friends in the Bailey Zimmerman camp too. So that's going to be just like a big party. Dude, and Lauren Watkins too. Yeah. She's great.
That's going to be awesome.
You mentioned being here, sleeping in your own bed, feeling like a human again. What is that is a lot of time to be on the road. What is your go-to thing to do when you're first getting off the road and decompressing?
That's a great question. So weirdly enough, you'd think it would be to relax, but I actually feel like if I need to get in almost a good workout. And this isn't even necessary for my physical body, but I feel like there's a lot of, I don't even know what it is, but it's something about working out. It just feels so much better after I do it. And then I'll sleep better that night. And the next day I'm usually tip-top Magoo, 100%. But yeah, a good workout when I get back. Weird one, but it's one.
Yeah, no,
How
it makes
do you
sense,
usually work out? Are you like more on the weight side, more cardio? What
I'd
are you
like
doing?
to think, you know, because the other thing is, you know, I am 5'8", 160 pounds, so I'm not the most jacked guy in the world. But what I'll do is I'll do some weights, and then I'll get on the treadmill and just run, and then I do the sauna. So the sauna. Dude, I'm a huge sauna guy. So I'll sit in that sauna for 20, 25 minutes, come out there and I'll feel like $1 million. My mind feels clear, body feels good. That's the ticket.
Yeah, you know what? Let me just say to everyone listening, get a sauna in your house. You get one of those portable ones. They're like $200. It'll change your fucking life.
I didn't even know you could buy one. I've been going to
Amazon
TrueFit. Here, plug in TrueFit right here.
I've got one in my living room.
What?
Wow.
You have a sauna in your living room?
Yes.
How did I not know this?
It's just a little box that you sit in. My head sticks out of it, and it does a sleeve around your neck.
Wow.
It will change your life. Like you feel like a different person when you get out of the sauna. The health benefits are enormous, and they're too many for us to even start going into.
Yeah, it's another podcast.
It's like
Zimmerman.
literally like I could talk about it for an hour straight. I hate saying this. Google it and just go buy yourself a sauna to change your life.
No, I can attest to it,
it'll be in the show
man.
notes. Yeah.
I really do. I feel like, and it's something about it, you know, I know it's not like, I don't know the science behind it, but it feels like I'm getting out a lot of the terrible food / maybe the drinks that I've drinking on the road, you know, so it's a lot of that and just almost like a reset, but yeah.
It sure is. It is all of those things and more. For
So,
sure.
okay, have you done a cold plunge?
See, I'm a little nervous about the cold plunge. I have done them. Sometimes my heart rate goes up a little bit too much. I'm like panicking a little bit. Yeah. I know that's part of it. You almost got to weather through that uncomfortability to get to the benefits. Yeah. But I'm almost like, I need to get out of here immediately. That fight or flight response is too good for me sometimes. I'm like, I got to get out of this thing.
I did it only once. It was one session, so I did it technically 2 times. It was actually a sauna, hot sauna, and then cold plunge right after.
Nice.
Which helped, but yeah, like you're saying, your body's in shock.
Oh, man.
Yes.
And you have to
especially
mentally just
from
like
that.
chill out and calm down.
I almost wonder if I did the cold plunge first with the anticipation of getting in the sauna, if I could mentally be like, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There might be something there. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to get in a sauna, it's going to be really warm, and
Yeah.
you're going to love it, so maybe you can do this.
Yeah, you're gonna love it at least for the first like 5 minutes, and then about 15 minutes in, you'll be like, man, I missed that cold water.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
It was feeling good in
use
there.
some of that ice cube action right about now.
Have you done one, Nate?
Cold plunge?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
figured,
I haven't done it in a while, but I would go and get like the big box or bag of ice from whatever,
Okay. Yeah.
Kroger, and throw it in my bathtub. and jump in there for a few minutes. But I need to get a better and easier setup because it's just
Too much.
Yeah.
So I know
It's a
people
lot.
who do the meat freezers and they just fill it up with bottled water, and then they take those out and put them in, so you can always just refreeze them, so you never run out of ice. You know,
I like that.
That's a good move.
I like that.
But no, I haven't done it in a few months.
Yeah, me neither.
I
We
might
should
have
do
to
it.
go home and do one. Well, I can't do it tonight because I'm going straight.
Just go outside.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, just go get in the Cumberland. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, that might be just as cold. Maybe colder.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably colder.
And definitely dirtier and dangerous.
Yeah.
Hey, drummers, are you looking for something to aid muscular recovery, nervous system regulation? Something to help you age gracefully, or just looking to feel like the best version of yourself? If so, you gotta try a sauna and a cold plunge. Putting both together is the winning combo. You sweat out all the things that no longer serve you, like all the toxins you may have from food and drinks on tour, and then you get into a sobering cold that actually gets you high. Yep, the cold is a natural high. It also gives you focus and clarity. If you want this experience, head on over to Detox House Nashville. They offer both an infrared sauna and a cold plunge hydrothermal experience in a relaxed, private, and comfortable environment. Visit detoxhousenashville.com to book your first session. The password to book is RELEASE. And exclusively for listeners of the podcast, select the Drummer Special for $50 off 3 sauna and cold plunge sessions. Follow their Instagram at The Detox House and visit detoxhousenashville.com to learn more and book your private session.
So you're from Pittsburgh, is that right?
Yeah, originally Pittsburgh.
Sick.
Mhm.
You're used to the cold, right?
You know, it's like a different type of cold. It's a windy cold up there,
Yeah.
which I don't like. You know, because cold is one thing, but when you add in that wind chill, that's a whole different animal. I also lived in
Yep.
Chicago for a period of time.
Oh, yeah, it's-
right on
that's
the
the
right on the
worst.
lake like that. Ooh, that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, here is great. Once I moved here, I was like, oh, these winters aren't bad at all.
It's
you
really
know,
not.
yeah, you get like 32 degrees. People are like, man, it's freezing. I'm like, buddy, you're fine.
Yeah, lucky it's
you're
not
gonna be
snowing
just
yet.
fine.
Everything will be just fine. Yeah, I can't, my brain, which is still functioning basically as a Californian,
Oh.
cannot comprehend like a Chicago winter.
Oh,
I can't, wait, what do you mean feet of snow? What do you mean? What does that mean?
Negative wind chill.
How does anyone live through that experience? oh yeah, well, we just got the infrastructure for it. Yeah, what is that exactly? Explain that to me. I don't get it.
Yeah, inside.
yeah.
That's kind of the secret.
It's
Yeah, the infrastructure doesn't make it warmer.
Yeah.
right. Okay, so from Pittsburgh, let's go full musical journey.
Full musical
do it.
from when I was a kid, or
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so when I was really young, my dad brought home a Pearl Export drum set. I
Heard
think
this
I was
story before.
I was in 5th grade, and I'll
love it.
never forget that because it was red. I think it had Aquarian heads on it.
Go. Yep.
And my dad's a drummer, and a pretty good one at
Oh,
that.
no
like
way.
pretty, like you would watch him play and be like, oh, he can get around.
Yeah.
And so he brought it home, and I was like, wow, what's this? You know, because obviously as a kid I had never seen a drum set. I was like, what's going on? Like, this is amazing. Heard him play a drum groove, like a good drum groove with some triplets in there. I was like, that might have been the coolest thing I've ever seen. And from there, I was like, you have to teach me. Like, you got to teach me at least a groove. And from there on out, he just taught me. And then YouTube came along. So probably a year after that is when YouTube got popular with the drum videos. 3 Hudson videos. So I had John Blackwell.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Neil Peart, Anatomy of a Drum Solo. And then I had a Thomas Lang, Interdependence and Independence video, which is very opposite of how I play today. But when I was a kid, I was so fascinated.
Yeah, those are the DVDs you want.
Oh my
Just,
gosh.
like,
Yeah.
complete inspiration.
Yeah, and honestly, for a young kid, that was a good. You know, you had the technical side of Tom Slang, you had the very musical side of John Blackwell, and then you had Neil Peart, who's just a legend.
Peart, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had that, and then for my 8th grade year, there was a talent show, and I very badly wanted to impress a girl I liked. So I was like, okay, I need to put this all together. And so I made a drum solo based on all 3 of those DVDs.
Whoa.
Yeah, so trust me, it was nowhere even close to as good as any of them. But it was my best representation of that.
Yeah.
And played the talent show. I don't think they gave out any sort of awards for anything. It was like a participation thing. But ever since then, I've been hooked. So that was
But
the
you got
younger.
the girl, right? And that was the prize.
Never got the girl either, unfortunately. So the prize was learning how to play drums.
Because you weren't doing any odd time. That's probably why. Or maybe you were. Maybe she didn't understand.
No
it.
7/8 or anything like that. No good ostinatos. It was I was playing a 4/4
It's like, Neal, you
groove.
had
She
me
was
at
like,
the triplets, but I just didn't feel
this isn't an
the
advance for me.
connection between.
Yeah. So that was the early years, and then got older. Sort of migrating into more of just like I would love to just put on headphones and play to my favorite song. It was still to this day one of my favorite aspects of drumming is the musical side of it. Got through college and actually started selling health insurance, believe it or not. Yeah. So playing in my basement, I had a little studio. So I played there and then sold health insurance for like 5 or 6 years.
How did you like selling insurance?
I hated it.
Yeah.
Well, it
Soul
paid
sucking?
Soul sucking. Paid
Yeah,
the
I
bills,
don't
but every day
Picture
I was,
you as a health insurance
Dude, yeah.
sales rep.
yeah, it felt like it the whole 6 years. But
So this was during college.
after
Or-
college.
okay, after
after
college.
college. So and when I finally decided, I was like, I'm going to take a stab and I'm going to try to move to Nashville. I'm going to try to make this thing work. I was 28 at the time. So I was older.
Yeah.
I had a couple buddies. Pete Wilson's one of them. He's played for a couple of people, Walker Hayes and some other guys. He was a great mentor. And I called him. I was like, hey, man, I'm thinking about moving to Nashville. I need a little bit of advice. What's your perspective? He was like, is this something you really want to do? And if so, there's a couple of things I can tell you. One is learn how to run tracks. 2, get your snare tone dialed in. And 3, learn how to play parts. And he was like, come down here and I'll help you get a gig.
It's great
You know?
advice. Yeah.
So three very good, piffy, music industry words of advice from a guy that was doing it at a very high level and moved down. My wife, who I'm married to now, she was also down here. So that did help. And then started playing with a guy initially, Drew Green, who's a Sony guy, and Pete Wilson, the same guy. He helped me get that audition. And I was with Drew for, I believe, about a year. And probably some of the best like road experience that I had at the time was playing with him. And then transition from that, got one of my buddies, who's a bass player for Nate, he was playing with Nate. And I think Nate had maybe like 8 shows at the time for that year. And he brought me on to help build tracks for Nate. So initially I was just running playback for Nate. It wasn't even drumming. Yeah, and they were redoing some of the band. And Nate called me. He was like, hey, do you want to try to audition for this part? And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then from there on out, it's just been with Nate the whole time.
Yeah. Dude, I love that story. Because we often talk about like being, marketable and hireable and like, and we've had great drummers that give really good advice about like learning the parts and being a great drummer. But what I love about your story is like especially the tracks component and learning the parts.
Yeah.
Because that essentially kind of transitioned into the gig. Like, there wasn't really an audition, right?
No. Weirdly enough, I
you
wasn't even
you made
drumming.
yourself valuable, right? Like literally you were helping to make the show run.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just kind of it was a really beautiful transition.
Oh,
right?
dude, and I tell people all the time, it's like most of the time when I walk into a room of drummers, especially in here, it's like I'm usually not even the best one in the room. I tell people all the time, I'm like a meat and potatoes drummer. I play the same 4 fills and a nice groove, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's like, a lot of the guys that I know are much better than me. It's just the simplicity of understanding it's like my job is to support the band and the artist and to make sure that the show runs smoothly every single time. It is. And if you can simplify it to that, sometimes like just letting your ego take a back seat just is so helpful in the team aspect of playing, in a band like that.
1,000%. Yeah.
So that's at least, from my perspective, But at the same time, I always want to become a better drummer. You don't want to let that be a shortcut or a cop out for not being a good drummer.
Totally.
But you know what I mean? So there's definitely that.
Yeah.
But also understanding the role of what, he wants from me.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a difference between pursuing that, being like on the gig.
Yes.
Like, well, this is my time. Like Dennis Chambers talks about, like some drummers when I see them play, it sounds like they're practicing. I'm like, yo, never want to be that guy.
No.
I don't want to sound like I'm practicing on the gig. At least not any gig that's of any
importance.
Any importance. Yeah. Like if I'm playing a nothing shift in the dead of winter on Broadway and there's no like the
perfect time to shed.
Then I'm gonna try.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
By
That's
all
part
means,
of it.
come to one of those shows and you will watch me practice.
Honestly,
like,
it makes those shows better though.
Yeah,
You know what I
yes.
mean? Sometimes.
But anything where I'm representing an artist like
Right.
that, you're like, you got it. Like you said, ego backseat. Like,
Yeah.
This is Here's what I'm here to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so much of the music I play is exactly that. It's like, 4 on the floor, simple fills. It's more about making it feel good, And I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, the simplicity of it. Just keeping it simple, playing the parts.
100%. It's funny, I was going through some of your older videos, and I want to talk about social media and what you think about videos, content.
Absolutely.
We all have to deal with that here in 2024.
Oh, man.
It's like some of your drum covers, and like I think there's one I was watching earlier. It was the Cole Swindell song.
Yeah.
And like it was still you. Like you had some cool fills, but like you were playing, meat and potatoes, but it just felt good. The snare sounded great.
Yeah. And
That's
dude,
what
it's
people
funny
wanna
that you
see.
bring that up because like in the beginning, like I always viewed Instagram as almost like my calling card or like a business card. So those videos I would post, I would sit there and be like, okay, like if I were to get hired, what do I think that they're going to want to see, And I was like, the best thing that I do is I can play the parts, play the groove, and I can do that pretty well. So let me just market myself as that, you know? So with a lot of those videos, I would just listen to the record fills and I would try to get them near perfect, And I would try to do a nice job of like making sure the drums sound good, learn how to EQ, compress, like all that stuff. And then a simple camera angle from the top down. And, if any artist were to see that, they'd be like, oh, if he can play this song, he can probably play my song. I'll hire this guy,
Dude. You guys know Harry Myrie?
Yeah.
So he was just on the 10-Year Town podcast. It's a kind of a newer podcast.
I saw that. That was
Songwriter.
really cool.
Yeah. He literally talks all about that because he's like the YouTube guy, the dude, right? Like what you were saying, like it's kind of your business card.
It is, yeah. No, it makes sense because I mean, like as an artist, like because I've gotten hired for a couple of different gigs, and almost every time they're like, "Yeah, man, I checked out your Instagram. I like the way you play."
Yeah.
A lot of it is just, and it's almost the simplicity of like, "Oh, he's playing that groove pretty well. He'd probably play my groove pretty well."
Yeah.
Especially if I know my stuff's pretty simple.
True.
Now, would I get called for a jazz gig, or would I get called for to replace Todd Zuckerman? No,
Yeah.
but.
I'll get called for that.
Yeah,
gig.
yeah. Nathan might. Dan definitely would after that last
Yeah,
video.
yeah. Thank you.
You crushed that, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like we should talk a little bit about it because I saw that recently.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
like, Dan, you're sounding
We'll talk
amazing.
about the Gong drum setup that you
Oh,
also
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But just back to that quick, because Harry was like, it's kind of a miss. Like if you're not, it's so simple. Like he's like for live drummers that want a certain gig, it's like you already know how you feel behind the drums. You love this instrument. All you have to do is show the world that just put a camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be super professional.
No.
Like you said, like know a little bit maybe about EQ or hire anybody in Nashville or anywhere else to do that work.
Yeah.
And then when someone wants to hire a drummer for a gig, they're gonna see you do the thing that they want you to hire. It's pretty simple.
Exactly. It's almost like you're just showcasing exactly how you would play on that gig.
Yeah.
And for especially a developing artist that doesn't have the advantage of picking from maybe 10 really good players, they're going to go through and go, oh, this guy can play. Let's get him.
Yeah.
And then you have a little bit of negotiating power too on what you ask for price-wise. It's like, this is what I can do. I will play your songs just like this, and that can help you in the negotiation process too. But
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to the social media thing, and like as we talked about, it is your calling card, and I know that it has gotten me in some trouble in the past because I'll post whatever wild polyrhythmic shit that I'm like interested in and messing with. I had a dude doing some more like Americana rock stuff who I had played just a one-off gig with, actually a worship set at a church. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you sound great. I've got some solo stuff I'd like you to be a part of." And then he went and checked my Instagram after that, and he was like, "I don't know that you'd be interested in this." I was like, "Yo, like
you can do the other thing.
I can do that too." I'm don't.
But I could see why you thought that.
I'm like, just because I'm posting nerdy stuff doesn't. But to the world, knowing like that is the lesson that I learned was like, oh, if you post that, it actually doesn't even matter if you played with that person, or it might not matter because they might see that and go, "Oh, this is more your lane." Like that. This is. Just know that people are going to look at that like you said. It's like a business card.
It is.
This is what they do. Okay. I'm like,
and someone like me who's a drummer can go like, especially you, Nathan, because I know you can play so much. So it's like for you to play what I play would be an easy thing. But for an artist, they might not know the difference, right? They just look and say,
Right, they
"Oh,
don't
that's
understand
not," But I know personally, I was like, yeah, if Nate can play some crazy polyrhythm in 7/8 with some left foot ostinato, of course he can play a 4/4 groove. It's just a matter of that artist being, "Oh, I don't recognize this sound," or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of that.
It's like the car can go.
It's easy to go.
80,
It's easy to
but,
go backwards. It's like it's not as hard. It's a lot harder for someone like me to do what you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, but I will make the argument because there is such a thing as fantastic feel and fantastic pocket, and then there's pocket, and then there's pocket.
Yeah.
And my mentor would always say, he's like, the pocket can always go deeper.
Yeah.
He's like, it can always have a deeper pocket. Like, I heard some pocket today. I was listening to a Corey Henry song, and I heard some pocket today that made me want to throw up. I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so deep.
Ridiculous pocket.
Yeah.
So, all that to say, I'm like, yes, I could just simplify it, but it doesn't. Not saying that I couldn't play something with good feel, because I think.
Oh, you definitely
can.
Oh, you definitely can.
Especially because that's what I get paid to do downtown.
Yeah.
But
you can also do the crazy stuff.
But I've seen, to be fair to all the people going like, I don't know, because I've seen people who can do all that stuff, and when it comes to just making like a meat and potatoes thing sound and feel right and feel good, I just miss.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name names, but I've encountered dudes with big names who have DVDs from Hudson where I'm like, hey, that thing that you do is really crazy, and also I hate the way it sounds when you play a groove. Right. I hate it.
Well, you have to work on both. Yeah, I agree. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
Like it should be. I mean, it's probably easier to, like you said, go backwards.
Right.
Whatever you want, but it's
like almost like a car with like 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
About that.
So like I'm like a Toyota Camry. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I can get down the road very dependable. I'm very consistent, and I rarely break down. That's my marketing strategy for Neal Yakopin drums.
Toyota Camry.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
the Toyota Camry of drums
is the AK-47 of cars.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a great analogy.
You take it out of the desert after 20 years, shake the sand out of it, and you just.
You can also give it to your kids too. Like you can pass that down too.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
So there we are. I'm gonna get a shirt that's like that.
Profound.
I'm just gonna get a Camry and fill it to the brim with AK-47s, and that's gonna.
We'll see how fast we get called.
That'd be all right. Well, yeah, I think it's important too, especially with content, is like having in mind the gig that you want, or maybe you don't even know a gig, but just like the goal of that. So like, and I for me, I'm still trying to balance that. I'd say most of like the gigs I do in town is country, so like, I'm not gonna post a bunch of random. I mean, the Todd Strickman stuff is like kind of a one-off project that
and it was
regardless.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And the thing is, like, when I'm home too, the stuff that I play is so different than the stuff I play out loud. Like, people are always like, "Do you like country music?" I'm like, "Yeah," but do I listen to country music when I get home? Not really. I listen to a lot of other stuff, and typically that's where my ears go.
And you're around it so much on the road, so it's good to have that
you're
balance.
kind of, but it's also the business side of it where it's like it allows me to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So that's the music business part of it. But when I get home off the road too, you were talking about like ways of decompressing. Sometimes the thing I like to do is just put on an album that I really like and just make up my own drum parts.
What album comes to mind immediately when you say that?
Okay, weirdly enough, I was just listening. It's the I Love You album. I think it was By the Neighborhood.
By the Neighborhood.
Weird. So it's like it's all rhythmic patterns.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's a good one, right? So it's like there's a lot of 2 to 4 bar rhythmic patterns, but there's no real drums. So it has a rhythmic structure, but allows you to just play whatever you want on top of it without feeling like you're competing against another drummer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will go through that whole album and just in my mind think like, okay, what would I do if I was on a cool pop gig like this? How would I play it? And then sometimes I'll just work on chops. Like if I have a new pattern I'm trying to work out, I'll try to make it fit inside of the framework of that song. And that's how I like to practice.
Dude, I love that.
That's one of my favorite ways.
And what a great way to like stay. Not that you're not having fun on tour, of course you are, but like stay fresh and young with our instrument.
You have to,
because it's so easy, especially when you're playing meat and potatoes. Yeah. It's like, no, I still want to explore this instrument. There's so much to explore in different genres and
that's the fun. Like, and I always try to like maintain like that childlike enthusiasm with music and drumming. Because it is very easy to be like, okay, like this is what I do for a business. Right. I'm only going to do this. But then it becomes like every other job that you've ever had. Right. Rather than, okay, I get to play drums for a living. Yeah. That's pretty cool. It's like...
Don't let yourself hate it.
Don't let yourself hate it. Like find something that's fun for you. And one thing that I always like doing, Daniel, I feel like you've been getting into this a lot is recording drums. I love like recording and mixing drums. Like after I would do something like that, I would hit record and record those drums and then just mix them. even if I wasn't to post it or like to send it to anyone, I just kind of like to hear the end product and go, oh, I like the way this sounds.
Yeah.
You know, it made this sound kind of cool.
Do you feel there's been carryover between mixing the drums and then how you're actually playing the drums?
100%. It's almost like
Right.
game tape in a lot of ways. You know, when you hear yourself recorded, things that I was like, oh, this is really cool when I'm playing it in the moment, I'll listen back and be like, it's a little sloppier than I thought. Or maybe I don't like that particular pattern in that spot. So yeah, it's super helpful.
Or for me, I find like just levels, you know, kick is too loud, or the hi-hat, or just like, especially the hi-hat, it's so easy for us to play cymbals too loud, right?
Oh, yeah.
And especially if you're a session player, that's like, you can't play cymbals too loud.
Yeah.
And that is such a that's why I really appreciate studio time now so much, because I have that automatic and objective feedback from the thing I'm hearing back when I'm like, oh, well, first of all, I was flamming. My kick drum was totally flamming on this section. I need to tighten that up. Yeah. Oh, like you said, hi-hat way too loud. Like cymbal dynamics need to come down like 15%. Those kind of things you really can't get by just playing. You kind of have to have that thing. And everyone, it's old hat at this point. People are like, yeah, well, you know, make sure to record yourself. But seriously, make sure at least get iPhone or whatever smartphone recordings of yourself. But if you have the opportunity to be in like a studio and have that use that, be like incredibly conscientious, and that I would say is maybe the best time to get your ego in the back seat.
Oh yeah,
because that is when you're like, I've done enough sessions here in town where I'm like, okay, I already know I can play, I know I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm going to let go of all of that and let this engineer just totally kick my ass.
Yeah, tell you what to do. Yeah.
I have this engineer I work with a lot named Cam, who's awesome. He'll just be like, Nate, sounds so good, buddy. Hey, on this next one, can we just maybe try it like that? I'm like, every time he says Nate sounds so good, buddy, I'm like,
something's coming.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
I fucked up. I'm sorry, Cam. He's just such a sweetheart.
But those guys usually bring the best out of you.
They do.
And they usually bring the best out of you that helps the music become the best that it can be.
Yes.
So it's like, and if they can do it in a good, sweet, subtle way, you know, however you respond best to that is probably the best way.
Right. Know? And if you're getting to do that and you're still getting to bring your own voice, to which I've been lucky enough to be in sessions where they're like, well, we want you to do it kind of like you.
Yeah.
Like, do it at least 20% Nate. Like, I'm like, okay, great. And they're like, okay, that's cool, but this part's not working. How do we make that work? Oh,
right.
Okay. Well, why don't you try it more like this? Oh, fantastic. Great.
Yeah.
Like, a little bit of feedback goes a long way.
It does, yeah. And in the right way, too, because there's guys that, you know, the moment they say something, it almost feels a little hostile, and you're like, okay, now I'm no longer creative.
Right.
Now I'm in a weird headspace, you know, so you don't want that. So a guy that can do it well.
Yeah, maybe maybe not like that. Maybe like good instead. Like,
oh,
okay, bud.
Yeah, it's like,
sure, I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's like, all right, now
I need
it
to
feels
get some
weird.
milk.
I want to go back to tracks and Ableton and that whole thing, because I feel like there's a lot we could talk about there.
Oh man.
And especially leading into TourLaunch.
Absolutely.
Which is the business that you co-own.
Yes.
Which is no small thing that we should definitely cover.
Oh, dude, I'd be happy to talk
I want to get into
that,
all that. So moving here, did you know much about any of that, or was that sort of, you mentioned your buddy, I forgot his name already.
Pete Wilson. Great drummer. Also one that, like, he would be great on this podcast. Very seasoned, very great human being and a great drummer. But when we talked to him, or when I talked to him, he was like, yeah, make sure you know how to run tracks. He's like, you don't have to be an expert at building in Ableton. He's like, but know how to move around in it. Right? Yeah. Know how to operate a session, because I can put you in more audition rooms if you can. Yeah. And I think that's, the one thing, it's like, even if you're not crazy about it, and, you know, I have my views on music, because there's a part of me, like, I grew up in a household that my dad liked, 70s rock. So, like, when I hear the tempo fluctuate and I hear 4 instruments on stage, there's a part of me that wants music to be just that. Mm-hmm. But there's also the business part of my brain that knows it's not like that today. Yeah. So that's the tough part. In the tough world that we live in, it's like you do have to adapt. Totally. And part of that today is, whether it be budget or we're just trying to get a certain sound, tracks are a huge part of live shows today. So that would be my advice, and like obviously his advice to me was just learn how to operate it at a basic level. If I can build a session, that's great, but if I can just press play and know how to run it, know how to set it up, you're better off than a lot of other people.
Totally.
You know.
It's kind of like you don't need to be an Olympic swimmer, but if you end up in the water, you want to not drown.
You want to know how to swim.
That's a good analogy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it opens up once again, everyone's different. Some people may not want a very traditional gig like that. Some people may want to be a clinician or, whatever the case may be. But if you do want to be in the live show world and get a, mainstream pop gigs or country gig, it's a good idea to know how to do that.
Yeah,
you become
100%.
more valuable and you make, from a business standpoint from the artist, you become more valuable because they either have to pay less people or you make their show better just from the fact that they don't have to hire 10 musicians, to be on
And it's
stage.
just a comfort thing too, like the artist will the whole band will feel comfortable knowing that they can trust you.
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So when Pete said that to you initially, you're like
Terrified.
Googling what his tracks like.
Yeah, terrified. Because I never worked in Ableton, right?
Yeah.
So it actually worked out well because the next weekend I was going to play at a church and play the tracks for the very first time,
Oh, wow.
which went horribly, by the way. So going back to that, it was one of these church songs that for some reason had like a bar of 7 in it. And
wonderful.
Right? Weird, right?
Yeah.
So I had practiced all week to this new thing, like the click and the tracks and everything, and I thought I was pretty well prepared for it. We get to that Sunday, I press play. We're halfway through the song, and that bar of 7 comes up, and somehow I ended up almost a full bar off of it. I don't even know where I was, if I was ahead or behind. Bad, right? Yeah, so not good. So we get off, and then Cam Marburger, who's also a bass player here, he was playing at the church at the time. He was like, there's going to be another service. You're going to be all right. And the second service went much better. But ever since then, I was like, I'm going to become an expert at understanding what's going on in Ableton. And then I'm also not going to make the same mistake, which is I'm going to play to the click
I
constantly.
love that. See, and often that seems to be that's a similar story of like failing first.
Yeah.
Not that you need to, but like, or maybe like you shouldn't like seek to fail, but maybe you should.
Right.
I don't know, but that's cool that like that happened. And then you're
Oh,
like,
man.
okay, I know what to work on now.
Oh, dude,
I'm
and
gonna
from there on
freaking-
out, I became a little wizard
Remember
inside
Nico
of
was like,
Ableton,
I'm
yeah.
gonna read the manual for
Yeah.
Ableton. Like, that's the mindset you should have.
Yeah, the amount of like YouTube tutorials that I've watched on it now I feel so comfortable in it that it's like it does become a lot like second nature.
Yeah.
But it helps, and that kind of launched into the TourLaunch thing, which obviously we can talk about too. But it's been super helpful not only for my drumming but also for just like overall in my business side of it.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go there. Tell us about what TourLaunch is and
Oh, dude.
who that's for and
Yeah.
what services you guys provide.
So me and Mikey McDowell, who's the bass player that I play with now, and then also Stefan Guy, who I used to play with, we kind of came together and we're like, okay, we know some of the things that some of these developing artists need. What can we do to service them? And I'm talking about artists that are just getting off the ground. And one of them was we were going to start renting IEMs, so in-ear monitors to them, and then also building tracks. So that was like a huge part of it. It's like, we can build these shows for people. Why don't we do it for some of these developing artists and help them get off the ground at a price that's not ridiculous?
Yeah.
Like some of the costs that I've seen for some of these show builds, I'm like, guys, do not pay $10,000 for someone to build your show. You are way overpaying for that, And so our niche is like that developing artist that has a small budget that needs a good product. We're there to service them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you'll build a complete Ableton. They'll give you stems and you'll just
Build a whole
Here's
show,
your show.
transitions, any sort
Final
of
product.
loops, anything that they need, and then also provide them with hardware. So like a good playback rig, the in-ear monitors that they need to actually hear what's going on, and then send them off.
I love
At a good price. That's the other thing. I'm not trying to work anybody over. I think that's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Well, it's cool that it's coming from musicians. So like you said, you're not trying to rip anybody off. It's
And
from
it
the
too.
right
Like
place and-
we're all like unfortunately victims of like bad show builds and like
Yeah.
sessions you look at and you're like, what is going on in here? Like this is done very haphazardly and like sloppy and probably didn't care too much about it and then charged an insane amount. We don't want that.
Yeah.
I find that there is an easier way to do these things, and having someone like you, or someone with this business coming in and going like, I will do this for you, and then you can just look at how I did it.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
and look at how much better this is.
Right.
Right now, I'm learning that with transcribing because I'm going through and transcribing a couple albums that I played on, which I'm like trash at transcribing. So I'm going back and going, man, this is really hard. How do I write this?
You also have pretty hard parts. So
I was about
That's
to
true.
say,
part
Those
of it,
the parts. Those parts are
transcribe
easy
my
on
parts in a
yourself.
couple
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Those are
Everything that I've ever
those
done.
are pretty.
you know?
Yeah, they're pretty. They're fairly. We'll call them involved. They're
Yeah.
fairly involved parts.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of copy and pasting on mine.
But I've got a friend, my buddy, who we just had on a little while ago, Jake Robinson, has been helping me out I would write something in a certain way and be like, no, here, let me.
Yeah.
This is a better way. I'm like, oh, cool. Beautifying them.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at them, like, that's so much better. See, that's all I needed is just someone to come alongside me.
A little help.
I can be
Yeah.
like, okay, just how do I do this better?
Yeah.
That's great.
I
Dude,
love
having
that,
a good show build is so important because I've done a bunch of sub gigs, and it's funny. It's a lot of the best sets are from sets that drummers have created.
Oh, all the
Right,
time.
I'm like, I opened Ableton's file and it had Dan Kozlowski in the file name, and I was like,
Yeah.
You know it's gonna be good. Yeah.
I didn't even open it. I was like, thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you already.
Yeah. Same with Rob Bodley.
Yep.
Yeah, having some of
Yep.
those guys in your corner, to help out.
It's organized, easy to understand. You don't feel like you're looking at, some Fulcrum's Last Conundrum or anything. It's like it actually makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, you'll be the one I'm coming to.
That's great.
If I need to run some Ableton and
Oh,
some
dude.
tracks.
Well, I would
yeah.
love it. Anytime you
Right.
need it, you just let me know.
Yeah.
We're going to be happy.
Hell yeah.
I love it, too. And weirdly enough, I'm like such a nerd at heart, so I love that stuff so much.
Yeah.
You know?
You actually just get into it.
Oh, I love it. Which is very weird, but like those two things, it's going back to like love to record myself and then mix it. Something about that, the digital aspect, the technological aspect, I love it.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good question. There's probably something in my upbringing, but
Yeah, well, I think not to answer for you, but like going back to our interview with Andy from Drum Supply, like he was a tinkerer and he still is. I think maybe it's the physical component of building the hardware. I feel the same way when I built my small rig here. And so
yeah.
it was fun just to label all the cables.
Oh,
and be
it's
super- and,
satisfying,
like,
isn't it?
build the puzzle of how it's all going to get connected. And,
Yeah.
Same with Ableton as well.
Yeah, a little sense of achievement when you're done. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I feel like I built something that works really well.
I feel like
You know,
most
it's like
drummers are like more type A too. Maybe that's part of
Yeah,
it.
that's probably
I
a little
know
bit
I
of what
am,
is
but-
too.
Did you guys play with Legos?
I did, dude.
Not so
I was
much.
just thinking in my head. I was like, maybe there's a Lego connection. I was a huge Lego guy when I was younger.
Yeah. Okay. That's.
Yeah.
I thought.
Okay,
you might be.
that's it. That's smart.
Yeah, I think
you're the
think-
brains in the organization.
Well,
here,
I think there's just there's certain people that just like they get a kick out of organizing things.
Yeah.
My wife is one of those people. So she just, she's a virtual assistant and project manager. So she's like putting something into order, especially when someone else is like, help me. Here's some money. She's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's how to set up your business. There.
Oh, yeah.
You were doing it stupidly. Here, do it less stupidly now. Yeah, I think there are some people that just have that in them. It feels good. Like, things are out of order. I can just put them in order, and you can just give me money to put it in order for you, and we're both happy.
Yes,
It's in order.
And that's what I always tell people is like, I'll be happy to show you what I did. Right. You know what I mean? I tell any of the guys, if you have a session, keep my session template. Yeah. Like I keep no secrets. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing. It's like anytime a guy's he's like, can I use your template? I was like, dude, go ahead. I took a lot of the things that I learned from other people too. Same with drumming. It's like so much of anything that I know is something that I've learned from somebody that does it better than me.
Right.
That's a big
because
part
of course it is.
It has to be. Like none of this was just conceived in my
Then
brain.
you still make it your own.
For sure.
Because no drummer's the same. The same with
Right.
Ableton. I could take your template and I'm going to change the track color.
Yeah,
And now it's
exactly.
mine,
Or you'll organize it a
Something
little
different.
different, route it different. There's
Yeah.
1,000 things you can do, but
Totally.
yeah, so it's like I would never gatekeep that. Yeah, so anything that I make is free game. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's super smart. You're targeting more the up-and-coming artists, like you said.
Yeah.
But then you're also available to consult drummers and anybody that has show
Absolutely,
builds,
man.
right?
Yeah. Any
So
questions?
when did TourLaunch launch?
Last year, actually, in March.
Last year?
Yeah. when
TourLaunch
did it
launched, yeah.
launch? Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, so it's been
Yeah.
going for last March, so it's a little over a year. So actually, no, it's almost 2 years. No, so not last March, but the March before. So we're actually coming up on 2 years, which is crazy to think about. But
Yeah, it's been cool following that, the Instagram account and your website and that
Yeah.
journey, like seeing the artists that it's like,
dude, we got to work with some awesome artists
it's a
so
great,
far.
super smart way to network and build your network, like
Yeah.
selfishly,
Yeah, dude, it
And then
really is.
So you've gotten to hire other, I saw like Andrew Bone, like you've worked with him. So
Yeah.
Do you hire other drummers to help kind of like freelance? How does that work?
We do. Yeah, we've hired. So occasionally, like they'll do a full show build, which is they need a band. Like so, an artist may come and go. I have this song that's doing really well. I don't have a band. I don't have a show. I don't have anything. I don't even, some of them don't even know how to perform, which is very weird in a way because it's so backwards to the way my brain works. Right? Like I would think, okay, this person is a successful artist. They played 100 shows. They know exactly what they're doing. They have a great band. But in today's day and age, especially the social media age,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the chicken is coming before, that kind of thing where it's like the artist
Especially
blows
with
up
TikTok.
well before they have a band or they've played a lot of shows. So what our approach is, okay, we're going to catch you up to speed ASAP. We're going to give you a really good band, right, with guys that I know can play and do a good job. We're going to give you a good session and good hardware,
Wow.
and you're going to be up and running quick. Because a lot of times it's a game of like, hey, we need to get this done fast.
Yeah, like days or weeks, or
Yeah.
you lose it, right?
I hadn't really thought about that. That's true.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean,
social
but the
media-
CJ, I could see in your eyes. You're like, I know.
There's a lot of these artists who are just blowing up. Like, I just put something on TikTok, and now it's got, 10 million listens,
Yeah.
and I'm being asked to tour.
Yeah.
But I've never done that.
I don't even have a band.
Right.
It's like,
I don't even know where to find a band. That's true.
What is a band?
That's just that's so alien to me.
It's
But
very
But that's
counterintuitive,
a lot of
isn't it?
people's
Yeah.
experience now.
It's a lot of what's going on in the music or mainstream music, So it's
Yeah.
very popular today, and you're like, whoa, this feels weird, but it's happening.
Are you finding even in country, in Nashville, that's the
Yeah,
case, or not so much?
and once again, it's not to take away from the artists because a lot of these artists just do have tons of talent. They have a lot of potential. It's just one of those things where it's like, what a weird order,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do things. But at the end of the day, for them, it's probably the best thing that's happened to them. So
Well, it's just, I imagine also it's like, so in doing this, do you also kind of like give pointers on performance?
we try not to overstep, but yeah, there are times where I'm like, hey, like I would watch this, or watch your dynamic control vocally and everything like that, and we try to, because you also are dealing with maybe young people with somewhat fragile egos, so it is a delivery thing, right?
Yeah.
But absolutely, yeah, we'll definitely coach them on performance and like, hey, this is how you do things. This is what it looks like at a professional level. I can show you these examples. This is probably how you should do it, or at least model your show after.
That would be helpful for so many people. Even in a lot of these people are like actually performing and going out and playing shit. Like a lot of the prog scene,
Yeah.
you have people who are incredible at their instruments and play like they'll
Some
play
of the best, yeah.
but really boring to watch. Like, you go, watch
Yeah, right, yeah.
like this totally standing still. Like, hey, that's cool. But if I just wanted to hear your album, I would just listen to
Just
your
listen to
album.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where's the live component?
Give me something. I don't want like
some
really,
entertainment.
really. I came to like experience the energy of that
Yes,
thing.
yes.
So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's a wow. What
Well,
a
it's-
cool business you have.
And it's funny because like you bring up a great point. When you go see a live show, some of the best ones are obviously like you want the music to be great, you want the performance to be great, but so much of the performance is visual at that spot. Whether it's the lights or whether they, how they interact on stage, their stage energy, like so much of that goes into the overall. Did I like that show? I know some of my favorite shows. I saw the 1975 in Pittsburgh. That show was great. The drummer obviously is an amazing drummer, but like their whole production was one of the best I've ever seen. And a lot of that for me is what makes a show very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just at that point, it's not just what you're hearing, it's also what you're seeing.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know there are a lot of quote unquote music purists
Oh, yeah.
who will buck at that idea. It shouldn't be like that. Well, it is.
It can be.
And so get over it.
Yeah. And and there is a time too, like where I like to go to like a smaller club and just listen to a jazz group, and sometimes that's what I'm going for. But there is still a visual aspect to that. I almost want to see them having a good time and interacting with each other, and so there is still a visual component. Maybe it's not huge lights and fireworks and pyro, but there is still something visual that I need with that. Like the audio.
Yeah, there's a
side of it.
conversation happening, especially
Yeah.
in jazz.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, like if I go to a metal show and someone on the album has this like brutal scream and they do that part and I look at them and they're just kind of like sitting. I'm like, man, I want it to look like you're like
Chaos.
losing your mind up. That's what I want from that. That's what I want at a metal show. Like there are different vibes that I want to get from different shows. Here's an idea. Learn how to make those things happen. Learn how to put on a good performance.
Yes.
Bring someone like my boy on to have you streamline your show and make it excellent.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, it's a good aspect of it. important.
So where can people get a hold of TourLaunch?
You can either go to our Instagram, you can go to our website, which is TourLaunchNashville.com. So I appreciate you giving me a little plug opportunity right there.
Totally.
But yeah, that would be, that's something that we have really been happy about. It started out as a passion project, but now it's just like, I'm having so much fun doing it. I don't, I could see this going as long as I do music.
Yeah.
I
think that there's something to be said there too for people listening that maybe have any sort of passion that they love to do. It's like, if you love to do it for yourself, you could find a way to do it for others and maybe make some money off it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're not an entrepreneur, but you actually, it's easier than people think.
Yeah.
Especially these days to start a business. I mean, us starting this podcast.
Yeah.
We're a business and then started from absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about how much you guys have grown too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's
almost
a
freaky growth,
Yeah, it's weird. And it's like you said, you're like, well, maybe this never becomes something big, but maybe I get to affect a few people and like get to have some fun interactions from it. And that's fantastic.
That's all you need.
Like you said, starting from a passion project. If it's something you're interested in doing anyway, why not? Why not give it a shot?
Yeah.
Find, it goes back to that old adage of like, find what you love and then figure out a way to get paid for it.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of combine those, not in a weird, corporate, capitalistic way, but just like, we all need money. So it's like, it'd be great if I could do things that I love and make money. You know?
I like to be able to, pay my mortgage and eat food and feed my wife as well and my cat.
And you're gonna have to do something to get that money, right?
So might as well be something dope.
It might as well be right. It's like do a podcast, talk to drummers. Yeah. That sounds great.
That sounds awesome.
Build Ableton sessions or play drums. That sounds fun. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yep.
100%.
I'm over. I was a roofer. I told you I was in health insurance. I'm done with that. Like I'm trying to get into a new phase of like I'm doing things that I love and that I care about and that I feel like I can be good at, and I'm sticking to that.
You know what? Speaking of health insurance, my best friend.
Okay.
One day, he was working in insurance for a while, and I just decided to torture him by sending one of my other friends in there that he didn't know. I was like, just go in there and mess with him. I want you to ask him a bunch of dumb questions. So he went, can you sign in? Yeah, sure. He goes and sits down. How can I help you? What do you guys do here? We sell insurance. What kind of insurance? Car, motorcycle, RV, life insurance? Before you can even answer, can I take out a life insurance policy on someone without their knowledge?
Oh no.
Well, I guess you could talk to him. He points to this other guy across the room. He goes, "Oh, that guy? Yeah, that's my dad." Really? No. And then I walked in the room, and my friend looked up and realized I had made the whole thing
instantly
happen.
It was
like, "Get the hell out of here!"
I love that.
Yeah, in his mind, he's probably like, "What is happening?
What's
right
happening?"
now?" Yeah.
Yeah. What was? Give me your weirdest interaction while selling health insurance.
I've had a couple weird ones. I've had a couple ones where, well, there was one couple, and they were actually a sweet couple, but they were very old and they couldn't hear very well. So, I mean, I'm already a kind of a soft talker, but I'm telling you guys, I was screaming. Like, hey, like if you're going to buy like that level of, and they still were kind of leaning, and I almost felt like I was on one of those Impractical Jokers thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where it was like, there's no way they can't hear what I'm saying right now. But that might have been my weirdest and most uncomfortable interaction that I've ever had.
So weird.
Yeah. And imagine an hour of that. So, yeah. I feel like I gave myself a headache that
Did you get the sale?
No.
No.
They I
for
knew
nuts.
from the and they were not buying from this moment I walked through the door. I could just tell. It was a rough go.
But they took the 1-800 survey at the end of the call, and they were like, "Well, we couldn't hear what you were saying."
Exactly. Yeah, it was like some
damn
letter
it.
that they got.
Yeah,
I was like, man, I'm going to McDonald's and I'm going home.
Hey, Kingston, Surrey County, Jamaica is calling me. I'm sure that's somebody I really know.
Well, that might be a health insurance salesman right there.
Jeez.
Oh man.
You've heard of Drum Supply, but you gotta see their shop. It's a drum shop experience like no other. They're packed with all the gear a working drummer needs, and so many parts, noise toys, and accessories. It's a toy store. Curated cymbals, kits, and snares. The hands-on percussion room is nuts, and their custom shop work is fast and affordable. Andy and the guys know their stuff, and they're ready to help. And the big news? They've just moved to an awesome new location near the corner of East Trinity Lane and Dickerson Pike. Still in East Nashville, just a couple miles from their old spot, the all-new Drum Supply is twice as big, featuring a dedicated cymbal room, a lesson space, and even more drum gear than ever. Go see the new Drum Supply shop for yourself. Now open 11 to 5 at 2211 Dickerson Pike and online at drumsupply.com.
Okay, tour launch.
Yeah.
Let's transition to tour. I want to talk a little bit more about your tour experience.
Okay.
It's just cool hearing your journey, like from your first, gig at a church, and now especially with the Nate Smith gig, you're playing baseball stadiums, and now super stoked for you in 2024 at the Wallen tour. And what's that change been like for you? Because we've had a few guests on that have similar stories. I'm thinking of Kip Allen, and I remember him saying his first stadium noticeably big gig, it was kind of underwhelming for him.
Yeah.
What he told us, and I'm sure he obviously has a great gig and loves it. And
Well, it's funny, man.
What's it been like for you?
So the one of the most more intense one was we actually did Jimmy Fallon this year. That one felt a little different when I sat down for that one, mainly because I was such a huge Questlove fan growing up.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're up on the stage and we're about to play, and we've kind of run through everything, but it is not live. It's live to tape, right? So we do everything live, and then they'll air it later that night. But you do get one shot, right? So there's that. All right, let's get it right this first time, you know? And we're up there, and I remember hearing, the Roots play, and I was like, man, this feels like an out-of-body experience right now. I'm watching one of my favorite drummers play, 20 feet away from me, and I remember when they finally announced this, and I was like, ooh, this is about as nervous I've ever been to play, But we got through that, but that one felt very different. Weirdly enough, I understand what he's saying about the stadiums. Something about the way the lights hit, it almost feels like you're playing for 100 people.
Yeah.
Because you can't even really see what's going on. It almost just feels like one person.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, even though might be 30,000 or 40,000 people.
Well, that makes sense. It's almost like the bigger it is, it's like you're actually
The
just
easier it is.
alone on stage, right?
Sometimes the smaller, more intimate shows, like we've done a couple radio ones where there's 100 maybe label execs in the room, but they can all see you.
Yes.
They're all looking at you kind of like this. That's almost more nerve-wracking and in a weird way, like a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah. No,
So it's a little
said the same.
counterintuitive.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
exactly
the
what
bigger
he was saying.
it's like, oh, this is easy, I see the lights and I see 10 people in the front row and that's it. You know?
Well, and especially in that case when it's a bunch of execs, you're like, all of you affect me a lot.
A lot, yeah, and it feels a little weird, You're like, whoa, dude, they don't even like music. Why are they? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, it does feel a lot different.
Yeah.
In those stadium shows, I remember the last two. I couldn't have been any more excited. Mainly because we were wrapping up the year, but just to even do a stadium, especially one that I had seen baseball games at, I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Do you remember your first major gig like that, or your first memorable?
First memorable gig? Man, I guess my first professional gig was actually at a bar with a guy named Justin Fabus, but that one was one to forget. I think probably, that was a rough one. And that was not the best one. But there's been a couple good ones. Probably one of the most memorable ones. We opened up for Jared Neiman, they have a great drummer too. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But yeah, he was great. We opened up for him. It was with Drew Green. And there was probably maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people. And that's when I first was like, okay, I'm kind of addicted to playing live. Yeah. That's when that adrenaline set in and I was like, okay, getting in and wearing this a little bit, I really like this. I'm going to try to do this all the time.
Yeah.
And that was the first time where I probably got hooked.
So that was before the Nate Smith gig?
It was before. Gotcha. Yeah, I had moved to Nashville, but it was before the Nate Smith gig.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that other gig was. Wonder why it was so bad.
Oh yeah, and he wasn't from Nashville, so yeah, and he's a nice guy, but it was a rough one. Yeah, it was one of those ones where I feel like everyone was a little drunk too. It was like one of those gigs where it's like, ooh, I might be the only sober one on stage here.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is that also that's something I'd like to ask. Do you drink when you play?
I can't. For some reason, I can have maybe one shot before. Yeah. After that, I can just feel it in my hands. That little bit of okay, I need to make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's. That starts to go away after two. Yep. So I almost just keep it to a nothing before it. Plus, I kind of like the freak of I got no alcohol in my system and we're gonna go do this.
Right.
I kind of like that rush.
Yeah.
I party after.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's so many people that I'm so accustomed to in playing downtown, watching everyone else drink, although thankfully I play in a couple of groups where there's not much drinking at all happening, which is fantastic. But there's so much of that. It's just I like 3 or 4 drinks during the show. I'm like, really? Wow.
Yeah. Such a physical instrument that we play too. It's I feel like it really starts to get slippery after a few drinks.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, I guess everyone's
tolerance is a little bit
is different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like for me, I like to loosen. I might have 1 or 2 just
Yeah,
to
to
loosen
have a
up,
kind
but like not while
Yeah.
I'm playing. Really.
And then after we
Yeah.
like to tear it down
Sure,
too.
yeah.
You know, we'll have a good time after. But yeah, before it's like, I almost kind of like the adrenaline rush of like, okay, we're going into this raw dogging it. You know, we're just gonna feel all the energy and adrenaline, and
feel
then
the nervousness.
yeah, that'll be your
Like,
drug
get
for
through
it. Yeah, that'll be your drug for an hour, and then get off stage and go have a couple. You know, and
Yeah.
let that be your thing.
Do you get nervous before some of these shows?
You know, it's funny. Probably the smaller ones. Weirdly enough, like when they're smaller and I don't have my drums, like if I'm on a cajon, that's when I start to get nervous. I'm like, if I'm behind the drums, like a full kit, and we're doing a show with the band that I play with, rarely do I get like nervous to the point where it's uncomfortable, because I trust those guys so much.
Yeah.
Too. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. I have such faith in that band
Yeah.
that it's like these guys are gonna crush it every single night. It's like makes my job so easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Dude, how was so you did a home show, was that last month in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was so great. Nate was so kind about it too, man. He brought me out on the front truss, which is, once again, I'm the farthest thing from like a star. So it's like, I love to be behind the drum set, away from people. Like, I want to play my drums and get right off stage and go away.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not, like, I would do terrible as a front man or even like a guitar player. Like, I just wouldn't be that kind of guy. But he was nice enough. He brought me out on the front truss and like, waves with my parents. He, you know, called them out, gave them a little shout out. So it was very sweet, man. There's something about going back home to play a show.
Yeah.
All my friends got to come too, so that was special. You know, like
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it'll be one of those memories that I'll hold on to for a good minute.
Yeah.
You know.
That's so special. That's so cool.
You know, I actually have a story about meeting Nate.
Do you really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear this.
So one night when I was working at Daddy's Dogs in Printer's Alley in the little closet that they have there, this fella walked up to my window and ordered a hot dog, and I would always have a practice pad and sticks, and I'd be, you know, in between customers, would be doing stuff, and we just started talking about music because I was, you know, doing the thing. And he said, he was like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I told him I'm from Redding, California. He was like, "What?"
He's from Chico.
He goes, I went to, I mean, obviously you know Bethel. I went there for a little bit. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we just talked about it for a minute. It's like, yeah, my name's Nate Smith. I do country music. I was like, oh, right on, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I know nothing about you.
Right.
But then, yeah, after the fact, people are like, oh yeah, Nate Smith. Yeah, of course I know who that is. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Well, he bought a hot dog from me.
That's actually very on
That's
brand.
hilarious.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
And I
That
could see
was
him
years
talking
ago
about-
now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't worked for Daddy's Dogs in
Also,
years.
there's one opening in Madison. I'm so bummed
Oh, is
about
there?
that. Is it good?
Daddy's Dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
very good.
All right.
Fresh, like
Real deal.
All beef franks, a freshly made, locally baked bun. Good stuff. Yeah. I'm a
love that.
supporter.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
From someone that worked there, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still remember your sales pitch. That was good.
I feel like I had the best pitch down. Well, I worked with a girl named Janae. Her pitch was more like, "Let me put Daddy's meat in your mouth."
Oh, okay.
That is a lot
That
better.
is intense.
That's what she.
That's
would
next
say.
level.
Yeah.
And she would say, "Ask me about my wiener."
Yeah,
And she-
you got to lean into it,
Yeah,
though, you know?
she was
Especially if you're on Broadway.
a lot more brazen than myself, and could get away with that also because then she's like, no, I really am talking about just a hot dog. I don't have
Yeah.
any of the equipment that you might be imagining.
The equipment.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
man.
shared that story because I was gonna say next. Like I've never actually met Nate, and I've seen you guys play once. It was
Yeah.
that rooftop there at Fifth and
Oh,
Broadway.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's a
And,
nice guy,
yeah,
man.
tell us. I mean, he seems like he's just the nicest, coolest
Dude,
like,
he's
artist
been-
you want to play for.
He's been so good to
Right.
us, man. He's been an easy boss to work for, you know. And I really love his he loves music so much, and he has such a broad catalog of what he likes. You would never think that he would have landed in country. Like he is more into like underground punk rock metal than
Whoa.
than
See, I would never have guessed
dude.
that.
Like and he's got a nice like broad catalog of a lot of different genres, and that was what I was most shocked about. But it also kind of comes across in his music, like he loves his little delay throws and, you know, like his certain style of delivery, his bigger vocals. Like there are things that he was probably pulling from music he used to listen to and bringing it into a country
Yeah.
sphere. And I think that's what makes music cool. It's like even if you're in a genre, it's like find something that's outside of it and bring it in to make it a little different.
Yes.
Make it a little more interesting. You know what I mean?
Please, for
We
the
don't
love
need-
of God, do
Please, right? For our sake too, as musicians. You know what I
Totally.
mean? Like, I want to play some cool stuff.
that. Yes.
You know, songs I like and I'm inspired by, you know?
I mean, identity, man. That
That's huge. That's a great word.
That's
Yeah.
have a thing that's you. You're like, this is me. I like these things, and I've decided to put them together.
Yes.
That's fabulous. That's what I want to hear.
That's something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's not, it doesn't feel like a cookie cutter, you know, stamped out of a mold. It's like, oh, this feels like you.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
can tell that I know more about you just by listening to this. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. You know more about the person by listening. That is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So I've heard you guys do the Chasing Cars cover.
We do, yeah.
You guys have
Kind
any
of
other
goes back
fun-
to that, yeah.
Any other fun like live show? You know, different songs, covers,
Dude,
transitions.
funny enough, we were talking about tracks and click. We have a couple moments on a couple of the songs where we do a couple outros where there is no click, no tracks. Some of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah.
Because we've kind of like nudged me, like, let's try this, you know? And it is a good part of the show because it does feel a little like off the grid. You know, there's a little bit more like sometimes we'll do 4 bars in the beginning intro, sometimes we'll do 6. You know, there's a little bit, there's almost a change that happens to, okay, I'm listening for the structure of the song to now I'm listening more towards the band, which you wouldn't think would happen, but now I'm paying so much more attention to what's going on in my ears with my band rather than like, okay, where are we at in the track situation?
Yeah.
And I like that. There's a change, but we try to incorporate those moments into a pretty modern style show.
Yeah.
To keep a little bit of realism and like, oh, this is still like a kind of off the cuff.
Dude, I love that. Yeah.
You know?
I feel like not every artist would even be okay with that.
Yeah, and we try to implement that with our show builds. It's like, hey, it's okay to have a spot where it varies tempo. That's normal. If you look back at a lot of those great shows in the 70s and 80s, it's like none of them were to a click.
Right?
You know, so it's
Exactly.
that's okay. You know, you're allowed to do that. And sometimes actually it might be better.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, Journey didn't play those songs to a click.
Yeah.
Those are not to a click.
Yeah.
Like in the recordings.
Yes.
Imagine live.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it changes it. It changes the feel. It changes the energy. Like it's a whole different thing, you know? So it's
Yes.
like you want to have and what we try to do is the best of both worlds, right? So we have the parts where it's structured, where we have the time code with the lights and everything's gridded and fun and nice, but then have those moments where it's like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
This is not something you're going to get at another cookie. You know what I mean? Like we want it to feel a little organic, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So
So then
it's-
that way, I mean, every show is kind of different.
Yeah. Yeah. There's variance, you know? I think
that's
that's
so cool.
important, you
Yeah.
know?
It's important for your own sanity, and I really do think like sanity, and also just truly as it speaks volumes to the fact that he is an artist. To me, a
Yes.
real artist wants to at least make something on the fly. Like
yes.
if you're just doing the same show, the exact same identical show night after night, to me, that's then this is a fairly bold statement that might piss some people off. I don't think that's artistry.
No, it gets into a weird other thing. You
That's
know
like
what I mean?
you're not an artist if you're doing paint by numbers.
Right.
That might be really therapeutic for you and fun,
Right,
but it's
right.
not art.
That's a good
Right,
analogy.
right.
It's like it's truly that is a craft
Right.
project. That's not the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this exact same thing the exact same way. Like, dude, just give me like 10%
Of this.
of openness to just try things.
Yes.
And I swear I'm going to have a better time. You'll have a better time. And the people listening are going to have a better time too. 'Cause
From
they-
the
they
fans'
can tell.
perspective, it's so interesting because you get something not everyone's going to have, right? So you may have a show that, you know, it went a certain way, but the other people may have it go completely different.
Right.
So you get something different than you would on a record or even at the last show. It's like, oh, this is unique to my experience watching this artist. It's
Right.
like, this happened tonight. It may never happen again.
Yeah.
It's like that adds to the allure of the live show where it's like, if it's stamped out, it's like song 3 minutes, 13 seconds, boom. We go to the next one. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, we could just listen to the record. You want a little
Why am I
something.
paying to come?
Right. You know, it's
Yeah.
like to take a picture and listen to, you know, it's like, it's a little bit more than that, you know?
Right.
Or should be at least.
I think so. I think we're getting back to that.
Oh, it's coming back.
There
coming.
was like
Yeah.
a 10-year period where everyone was just
A lot of bro
"Everything's
country.
gonna be
Yeah.
perfect. Like, oh yeah, you know how boring perfect is?
Exactly.
I have fought for just like very minimal editing in my parts, even in like prog.
Yeah.
Like playing like genty stuff with a lot like you'll hear it when the second record comes out with Fly Information. You can hear little spots where I'm like, I'm not perfect. Like it's very like I hear them clear as day. Right. But to me, I'm like, I want to play it better, but I don't want to fake that.
No.
Like, I want to have I want it to sound like a human being played it.
Right. Yeah.
Like here, that's all of my favorite recordings were like by humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
All of them. 100% of them were.
100%, man.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because back to the Zimmerman piece that I recorded, which I learned. I mean, it's a note for note transcription, so like in that sense, I wanted it to be perfect. There were plenty of imperfections that I could have easily redone. I was like, no, this is part of the whole experience.
Yeah,
and like this was fun, and this is me on it, and it doesn't have to be exactly perfect.
And it's fantastic. It sounds awesome. You killed it.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, he was talking about it.
You gave me that final push.
I got it exactly. I just got to say, I just want to give big ups to this guy because I challenged him to do it. He's like, yeah, maybe someday I want to do this.
Yeah.
He's like, do it now.
Do it now. Yeah.
And he was
I like that.
Okay, and it was literally within the month. He was like, I've booked the day in the studio, and I'm going in to do like.
I love that.
And I was like, yes,
Dude,
this is so cool.
Well, you gave me the Tim Ferriss advice, right? The story. Imagine like you have to donate to like your worst charity for every week.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good.
I'm paraphrasing it weirdly.
Yeah. He said, well, basically, if you don't meet your goal, you give your most brutal friend a check made out to an organization that you hate in your name, and if you don't meet your goal, they give them that check. So like, so I've donated to like whatever, like the Ku Klux Klan or something. Okay, I don't want to do that,
right?
So I'm going to get the thing done. Like, find your friend that will do that. Like, I will give them your money, and I was like, I basically pushed him like that. I forgot that.
So I didn't go that extreme, but like you said, I booked the studio time before I was even done learning the piece.
Yes.
That was scary, but I was like, well, now I have to learn it.
Right, and then you freaking
knocked
you
crushed
it.
It was
out of the effing.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm sharing this right now.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
one of the first people to.
Oh, dude, as soon as I saw it, I was like, because once again, you with social media, you're so inundated with content, right?
Yes.
But I saw that and I was like, ooh.
Well, this is something different.
Yeah, I was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
And just like, I know how much time that takes to learn that, and within every part of that song, there's probably 8 hours of lessons. You know what I mean? Because I was listening to this, I was like, there's so much technique that goes into that, so much learning that goes into that. So you probably put a ton of hours, man.
It took years, honestly.
Yeah. So it's impressive. And I was like, this is well worth,
Appreciate it.
well worth people seeing.
Yeah,
You need
thanks,
to,
man. I won't stop talking about it, so I'll keep I'll make clips and shit and annoy people with it still.
No, that's great, man.
Just go. If you haven't watched it, just go. Go
go
to
check out
Dan's
Dan.
page right now. Pause the podcast. Just go and watch it.
Well,
before you
go
forget.
watch Todd's original video because I kind of did it to pay
Maybe you'll
homage to
get
him.
maybe you'll get a couple fill-ins,
Maybe.
Who
Hey.
knows, man.
Maybe.
That'd be a fun fill-in
That'd
gig
be crazy.
on his kid too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so let's
a
go
lot.
there. I want to talk gear because back to even
Yeah.
that. So the Gong drum was a big part of that setup for the Strickland piece. So you have, it is a Gong drum, right? Or is it?
Yeah.
Because at Pearl we just put out a frame drum. It's basically like a thin, kind of almost like a pancake drum.
Yeah.
But yeah, was that like an intentional thing to just make something different, or how does that play into the set?
So I originally had a 13-inch, 16, and an 18. And I like the 18, but I wanted something almost like a sub drop, but organic.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me try this Gong drum. So I put a E-mat on it, right? Something real thick, and just was like, I'm going to try to make this sound like a kick. And then I'll use it strategically. Like if I want a big impact of the show, I'll use it at that part. So it almost feels like, whoa, what just happened? Like we're kind of sounding the alarm here. It's like, this is a big sounding thing.
And it just looks cool. Like
It's just fun to
visually,
hit,
I mean, that's what people, especially
Going back to the
content-wise,
visual aspect
yeah.
of a live show, it's like kind of nice to have some intrigue visually when you're looking at a stage. It's like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, if you had
I
a
wonder
choice
what it's going to
between-
sound like when he
yeah.
hits it. You kind of want a little bit of that going on.
Back to like blending like the analog and digital, or like the more traditional rock show versus like Ableton, but having the Gong drum, or you could replicate that on an SPDSX. But
Right.
what's going to look cooler?
Yeah.
Give me the big drum.
And
you know what I mean?
sometimes what's going
Let
to
me
feel
smack it.
better too,
Yeah.
because there's a dynamic
Oh,
range too with the
100%.
Gong
The
drum that you
feedback,
can't replicate with the pad.
Right.
100%.
And this is the first year, because I had always used a pad, and this is the first year I've actually moved. But weirdly enough, I feel like I'm turning over a new leaf because I used to have pads for all the sampled sounds. Now I'm just trying to recreate it on the kit. So if it's a snap or a clap, I may just use a rim shot with hi-hat. I'm just trying to get a little bit more, only because the more I watch live shows, the more I appreciate when a drummer does that or a live band. Maybe I'm partial, but I just enjoy hearing and seeing the instrument happen, So it's like, if I can hear that snap of the rim shot and also see it, there's something about it that my brain really likes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I wonder if that's a thing with all people or not, but yeah.
I interrupted you.
No, it's my point was a pittance in comparison to the point you're making. We'll move on immediately. Yeah.
Okay. So gear wise, what are you rocking? Is that DW kit?
So this year, I was using a Ludwig, and this is the first year. Jeff Barrios of Truth Custom Drums is making me a Truth Custom Drums for next year.
Nice.
Yeah, and then Zildjian cymbals. So I like the Zildjian ones. I've tried so many cymbals, and they're all so good, man. At the top level, like Zildjian, Sabian, Pisces, like all the cymbals are very good. Meinl.
He was asking those.
One of my good buddy, he plays for Bailey Zimmerman. He uses Meinl, and they sound great. So plug for Meinl. But also, Truth Custom Drums. So he's making me a beautiful kit. It's going to be 13-inch maple, 16-inch, and then he's going to do the gong drum, but he's going to match it to the kit and make it.
Let's go.
He's going to do a little deeper too. We're going to try a little deeper, just see how it sounds. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so stoked to see
get a little
that.
more beef out of there.
Can you share the finish, or is that a surprise?
It's going to be it's going to be black sparkle with gold hardware. Yeah, it's going to be nice. Oh, is that in your realm?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That just,
I've always gone with colorful with drum kits. I'm going to try to go with more like streamlined, I'm going to try black.
Well, the gold hardware though, that's
the icing on the cake.
Yeah, because the black, it's classic, it's beautiful as long as it's clean and no bunch of fingerprints are on it. But the sparkle will help.
Yes.
To, hide fingerprints.
Yes, glossiness.
Beautiful. And the gold hardware, chef's kiss.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah,
dude, I'm excited.
Awesome.
December 15th, he's bringing it down. So that's when I'll finally see it. So I'm very pumped for that.
Can't wait.
There's nothing, man, that's the thing. And they're bringing it back to the visual aspect. If you're a person that bucks at the idea of the performance needing to have this visual thing, like as a drummer, do you look at a certain drum kit and think, that drum kit looks good to me? And do you look at another drum kit and think, that drum kit looks dumb to me? Because I do. I'm like, I'll look at a drum kit and go, I'm like, it's not as pleasing. There's, of course, an aesthetic that you are going to enjoy.
Yes.
Just like anybody else, just like anything else. Just go ahead and lean into that a little bit.
Lean into it.
You want to find? Why don't you go and find a drum kit that you think is gorgeous that you want to play on?
Yes.
Maybe it just looking at it inspires you. Mm-hmm. Every element of it can inspire. The sound inspires you.
Yeah.
The
smell.
The smell of that.
When you
glue.
take the head off and you finally smell that, you're like, wow,
yeah.
that's nice.
Maybe every single piece can inspire you. Maybe every single piece of the instrument can be part of your artistry. Imagine that.
I love that.
Nate really likes drums.
That's Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I get it, man. There's
just
something
saying.
about it.
I love it.
Just saying.
Does Nate Smith, does he, you said he doesn't play drums, but is there any moments in the show where he'll come up and like hit the cymbals or have fun with you?
He does. He plays piano pretty
Tickle
well.
fight.
He does. He'll do a little keys thing. Yeah, but I keep him away from the drums. I'm
thinking like Luke Combs and Jake, they have that dynamic.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We actually had Aaron, I feel like I'm butchering his last name, Gillespie.
Sterling. Okay.
No,
Gillespie?
Gillespie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I always want to say Gillespie. It's Gillespie. Yeah, monster drummer. He actually came out with us 2 weekends ago and played my kit for one of the songs.
Oh, wow.
Awesome, right? My
That's
drums were
wild.
screaming.
Yeah.
I could just see them. But yeah, that was one of the coolest moments that I've had watching him play. But
Yeah.
that was the only other person that's played the drums. Nate really has never played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was fun to have him out. He was
Yeah,
cool.
I
He
bet.
was awesome. He was a good hang too.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, so who are some other just talk drummer inspirations? Either current or current guys that maybe you're on tour with, or just older drummers.
I've been on a weird Sterling kick. So Aaron Sterling,
Yeah.
for some reason, I just am so hooked on his style. He is my gold standard for like what I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
you're not
he
alone
is
in
the
that.
weird combination of like great technique, and he can do so many things on the drums, but he is so musical.
Yes.
And he has a sound where I could close my eyes and hear a clip of him playing and be like, That's
It's
Sterling.
so-
Aaron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
So
is
weird,
unmistakable. And
yeah.
I feel like most drummers could probably say that about
Yeah.
him, right?
Yes.
And even through the iPhone, I swear his drums sound better than any other.
Oh, yeah.
He
Like,
just that's
he
the thing.
knows-
He knows how to get the Aaron sound out of the drums, and
He
part
does.
of it is how he's miking. Part of it is like, how he's tuning in everything, and the other part is literally how he is hitting the drums.
How he's playing them.
and his feel is recognizable. He's got gobs of identity.
We'll have him
He
on. 'Cause I want
does,
to talk to
yeah.
him about his technique. Like he does play different than I've seen most drummers. Have you noticed that?
He does have an
Absolutely.
odd approach to it. You know, it's
Yeah.
one of those things where visually you're looking at it, you're almost just entranced by the way he plays it.
Yeah.
When you listen, it's like, whoa.
I think that translates
Yeah.
into the sound.
My very favorite Sterling video is, and if we ever have him on here, which I really hope we do,
He will.
we will. Yeah, we will. We will.
not
We're
if.
gonna have him.
You
on.
will.
Yeah.
We're
gonna have him.
manifesting.
We're gonna have it on.
He may not have responded to our DM, but
But
if he hears this, please message
He's
us
coming.
back.
It's, I believe he titled it "The Power of the 16th Note." It was him playing to Back in Black, playing 1/16th note off, and it rips.
Really?
The pocket is ridiculous.
I
I'll
need-
pull it up.
you gotta
We'll-
send that to
after,
me.
When, we're,
Okay,
when we're
okay.
done, we'll listen to it together.
Okay.
It's everybody. Just go ahead, Google Aaron Sterling 16th note. It'll pull up this Back in Black video on his Instagram, and oh my God, it's so good. And then
So good.
he did another one after that, which was he did Tom Sawyer.
Oh, okay.
And he actually, like, as he starts playing, like, it's comes in, and you can tell that he's got the click in his ears on the other 16th note because he starts laughing.
Yeah.
He just like, the song starts, he's like, boom, like it's so. He's
need
like,
to
yeah,
see
this is dumb. But actually, then the chorus then ends up sounding like a Latin groove.
Whoa.
It's really
Okay,
weird.
I'm
Yeah.
curious now.
Yeah, we'll watch a couple videos.
But
when
yeah,
we're done.
he's so good.
He's fantastic.
So good. Sometimes he plays things and I'm like, how did you even think of that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like such an odd but very musical approach to it. Very good.
He's so musical.
And that's that thing which I want to give to like all the Nashville cats, because I feel like there are a lot of people here who are afraid to try something that has a little bit of their stamp on it. Like, well, I got to kind of like play it the most like the next guy. Like,
Right.
man, the dudes at the very top all like they have a sound. All of them do.
Yeah.
That's like,
All of
so if you're just only trying to play it, be the best facsimile of the thing, you'll never do it. You'll never do it.
You're right.
You got to have a little bit that says, "Mike, oh, dude, that sounds like Neal.
Yeah.
That sounds like Dan. That sounds like Nate.
Right.
I want that sound." You have to have at least a little bit of that. You can go as far into that if you want to be real bold and be like, "I'm going all the way in. I'm gonna sound only like me, motherfucker."
Right.
If you're gonna hire me, it's gonna sound know
Like-
what you're getting.
Like Nathan.
Yeah, and there are people who do that and make a whole career out of it.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome too.
Oh, he's made a great career off of sounding like Aaron Sterling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
mad
great
respect
advice.
for Aaron. But anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my favorites too. Growing up, dude, I had such a hodgepodge of drummers. Like I went through weird phases, but really like John Blackwell when I was growing up. I know kind of a little more obscure one, but I really liked his style. I feel like
right.
I watched him the most of anyone. It's something about the way he played. I was like, this is how I want to sound. You know?
Dude, I'll never forget it. I was at NAMM, my first ever NAMM show. And it was a Tama like 40th anniversary event. They like booked like, I think Pridgeon. It was like
Thomas Frizzy,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
6 drummers in a room. They all just
It was
did
Bruner.
solos. Was it?
Bruner.
Probably.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of young, but
Yeah.
I happened to just be right in front of John Blackwell for his solo.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know who the guy was. I was like,
Whoa.
Dude.
just
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, tragic that he passed. So
Yeah,
young.
it was sad, man. It was in a sad way too, but
Yeah.
he'll be a legend, at least in my book, you know, and I'm sure for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I actually had that DVD.
You know
Same
which one I'm talking about?
I absolutely
It was
do.
great, wasn't it?
It was, and I lost it. I don't know what I did with it.
Oh no, yeah.
I
wore
did
that
watch
thing
that
out.
a bunch.
Yeah, I wore that thing.
He, again, tons of identity, gobs and gobs of flash.
He
which-
did have some flash.
Yeah.
I kind of used some of
Some
his,
of
like
those
I'll do that
fills.
basic stick trick that he used, and I love that
I
one.
can remember the triplet things he would do, like dig it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. He did have that. The single hand
Yeah,
triplet.
exactly,
yeah. And he would do that with single kick too.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
that was also impressive. Great accuracy and dynamic control with that single kick.
Yep. Great
You know,
foot.
Great foot. Yeah. And he did it in dress shoes, which is even.
What?
Yeah, I know. I tried to play in them once. I was like, I can't do this. I need tennis shoes. So mad respect for that as well.
Yeah. John, Aaron. Who else? Give me one more.
That's a good list.
Give me one more because you said such a hodgepodge.
That's such a hodgepodge. And then I also went through a big like punk rock phase. Yes. I like Longitude Parsons. Do you know who that is? The guy for Yellow Card?
Yellow Card.
He was one of my favorites.
Was he the original?
Hey, real quick, Yellow Card. Why the fuck is he not playing for Yellow Card anymore?
Yeah, he was one of my favorites growing up. He
He's
was one of
great.
those guys that also had gobs of identity in a weird realm of like punk rock.
Dude, like when you listen, freaking go listen to Ocean Avenue. The dude,
Yeah.
like he's playing like that song is like very drums forward.
Oh yeah.
100%. Very much like a Blink-182 song. Like it would be
Right.
very not the same song without the drums. you
Right,
know?
like perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like you hear whatever you think of Travis Barker, it doesn't matter when you hear him when you hear him play in Blink. It was night and day from the original drummer's name was Scott, right?
Yeah.
Right. From Scott to Travis, night and day difference.
Night and day. Yeah.
One of them, like Scott was good and solid, but when Travis played, you're like, this sounds like this is very, very, very specific.
It is. It's very niche, you know?
Yes.
And it's his sound, like we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Once again, top of the food chain. Like that kind of does lend itself to that top of the food chain.
Right.
Identity. Maybe that's the title of this podcast.
Maybe it is.
But yeah, no, he is one of my favorites. So in like a weird mix of drummers, but yeah, you can see the difference between those three guys. But anybody that I feel like is just good at what they do, I enjoy watching. You know, so I feel like I've learned from so many, even guys that are my peers. It's like I've learned so much from just watching Instagram videos. There's so much to be taken from anybody, you know? And sometimes things to not do, or things that I'd be like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
Like there's a lot of that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
What's
those
the
are
last thing you learned not to do
Ooh, that's a good question.
without naming a name?
Okay. Sometimes, maybe I shouldn't even go because this may be too specific. Okay. Sometimes over, like with the movements on stage, maybe getting up and going away from your drums too. I think I'm more of a stationary guy. I like to be behind the drums. Once you start getting out and start hitting other things, you know, that's when I'm like, okay, the show has ended for me there. So I stay behind the drums. Even if I stand up a little bit when I play, I'm still in that same realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I leave behind go away from the kick drum and the seat, it's like, okay, now you need to rein me back in.
Yeah.
So that would be the one not thing to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we won't single anybody out,
Yeah.
but
Stay back there. Be in your cage.
be in your cage.
This isn't your home show. Stay.
Right. Let's start with the Nashville specific food question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Favorite places to grab a bite?
I like Deg Thai. You guys ever been there? You guys
No, but I love Thai
you guys
food.
like? Oh,
I love
you
Thai.
like Thai
I've heard
food?
of it. I
You've
don't
never.
know if I've been
My
there.
wife is Hmong, and she
okay.
makes the
Maybe
shit
I-
out of some Thai food.
You know, if there's nothing else I gave you guys today, that's it. Deg Thai is great.
Okay.
Get Jay's special.
Okay.
Or the red curry. There you go.
Bro, it's going in the notes.
It's going in the notes.
Here we go.
And then you can message me back with the review, but you'll like it. I can guarantee you that.
How do you spell Deg?
Deg Thai. So I think it's DEG and then Thai.
Yeah.
I think, okay. I'm excited to try it.
You will.
One thing you've learned from tour that you'd like to share,
Ooh.
if you had to pick one.
Okay, let's go non-drumming related because you'll
Yeah.
probably get a ton of good drumming advice on this podcast. I'm going to say if you are on a bus, be somewhat clean, be somewhat organized, not for your own sake, but for everyone else's sake. So that's one little piece of advice. That's what I would give.
Great.
And that'll help for the overall community and probably the long-term stability of your job.
It'll make the people around you hate you less.
Hate you less.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Some
Yes.
deodorant.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get a lot of good drumming advice, so I'll give you something that's a little non-drumming
Love
related.
it. Yeah.
That's great. Here's my Tim Ferriss stolen question that I love to ask.
Okay.
Favorite purchase in the last year under $100?
Ooh, under $100 because I was gonna say the Zildjian paper thin symbol I just got.
Yeah.
Okay,
But-
so I'll still take that, but I
But
also-
under $100, that is That's a great. I got this. Okay, so actually, I do. I got the Fab Filter plugin. It's a Fab Filter EQ. That may have been my favorite purchase. It was Black Friday. So
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, Black Friday. Yeah, it's a
some of those
pricey one.
plugins, It's crazy to be like normally
like
$900.
Yeah.
Now it's $7. What?
Yeah, it's
So
like.
it could have been a lot cheaper this whole
Oh
time.
yeah. So that may have been my best purchase. Yeah.
Okay. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Sweet.
Where do you want people to find you?
Let's just try Instagram. Like if you want to find my personal Instagram, just Neal Yakopin Drums on Instagram.
And then,
Simple. Clean.
TourLaunchNashville.com.
That's another
And
one.
then
Yes.
TourLaunch on Instagram.
Correct. TourLaunch LLC. Yep.
Awesome. Well, dude, can't wait to follow your journey and stoked for next year with Nate and onwards and upwards.
Boys, thanks for having me on. This has been fun. So I'm glad we finally got this scheduled.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Love it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast. If you've enjoyed these podcasts, please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can help support this dream and keep the ball rolling for us. Believe it or not, it's not free or even necessarily cheap for us to make this thing go. To sign up, go to patreon.com/Nashville Drummers Podcast or click the link in our Instagram bio. All of your help is greatly appreciated.
Check out our new website, NashvilleDrummersPodcast.com. And if you're not already following us on Instagram, you can follow us at Nashville Drummers Podcast.
This episode was recorded at Diamond Sound Studios located in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.